Citroen's Relay is the brand's much improved contender in the large LCV segment, and on paper this certainly looks to be a van that can. It claims the highest payloads in its sector, along with class-leading load-carrying practicality and low cost of operation. Equipment levels are also superior to those of obvious rivals. In other words, it aims to score in the areas that really matter to business users.
If you thought the large sector of the light commercial vehicle market began and ended with vehicles like the Mercedes Sprinter and the Ford Transit, it may be time to think about widening your search. Perhaps to include this contender, the much improved second generation Citroen Relay. It's the brand's largest van, and the idea here is to offer a wholly convincing alternative to the major players in this sector. With class-leading practicality and standard features you might not expect at this price point. The Relay has been with us in one form or another since 1994, when it replaced the boxy old Italian-built C25 model. Now, the Relay name is UK-specific, this van being known as the Jumper elsewhere in Europe. Now, the Mark II model dates back to 2006, but was substantially updated in mid-2014 to create the facelifted version that we're going to look at here. Now, as before, it shares its design and its engines with rival Peugeot's Boxer, while Fiat's Ducato merely borrows this Citroen's body and suspension. It'll certainly need to make good on its glossy brochure promises if it's to face down the other four designs that populate the large van segment. Two of these, like this vehicle, are brand shared. The Volkswagen Crafter Mercedes Sprinter package and the Renault Master Vauxhall Movano Nissan NV400 collaboration. Plus, there are the now much improved Ford Transit and tough Iveco Daily models to consider. Citroen is boldly claiming that this vehicle can carry heavier payloads than these rivals, as well as delivering top-of-the-class standards of driver comfort, safety, convenience and efficiency. Of course, thanks to the common design, the near-identical Peugeot Boxer van can offer this too, as to some extent can a Fiat Ducato. So Citroen is banking on value pricing, high equipment levels and its unique Teletrack telematics platform with Trackstar stolen vehicle tracking to help this Relay stand apart. Can it do just that? Let's find out. So, what's it like to drive? Well, for a start, there's a big climb up into the cab, which means that the driver has a great panoramic view of the road ahead. Now, beneath your right foot, you have a choice of three common rail HDI 4-cylinder, 16-valve 2.2-litre diesel engines. First, there's the 110 brake horsepower model, or you can choose the version I'm trying here, which develops 130 brake horsepower. There's also a 150 brake horsepower version of the same engine. You don't, though, get the pokier 180 brake horsepower version of this unit that Peugeot offers in its comparable Boxer models. And these are torquey units too. The 130 brake horsepower power plant I'm trying has a useful 320 newton meters of pulling power, so could tow a trailer up to 3,000 kilograms in weight. Further up the range, you could raise that figure to as much as 3,500 kilograms. Now, around town, this van can make light work of tricky urban situations with a tight 14.14 metre turning circle between curbs in the case of this L3 H2 variant. Now, the slick 6-speed manual gear change helps here too, which is just as well, as there's no automatic option. And what else? Well, if you're used to the pre-facelift version of this second generation Relay model, you'll immediately notice that this van is quieter at speed. Now, this is due to its considerable underbody and upper body strengthening, and that's aimed at producing greater durability as well as that extra refinement. Now, the brakes have also been revised and feel a bit more effective. Suspension is something of a Citroen speciality, and not only in its passenger cars. Now there's the option of air suspension if you want it, but even in the standard form this van rides pretty well and handles very neatly, remaining composed in the corners and smooth on the straights. If it does get away from you, there's ABS as standard with brake assist to make it more effective, plus ESC stability control. Conventionally styled, this van is not. Instead, the Relay has the kind of front end which draws your gaze this way and that. Now, the headlights and front grille have been restyled for this improved model, inspired by the current range of Citroen cars, with large chevrons that blend into the chrome strips on the nose. You can also specify an optional LED strip inside the headlamps for extra overtaking presence. Otherwise, things are much as before with this second generation model. The prominent three-piece bumper thoughtfully incorporates a couple of steps so that the driver can easily climb up and clean the windscreen. The distinctive boomerang-shaped headlamps are positioned high and they're up out of harm's way. And there's a heavy swage line that extends down both flanks above deep rubbing strips that protect the sides and rear doors from minor damage. Inside the cab, the design is less dramatic than that of the exterior, but it is thoughtfully executed. There's an armrest for longer journeys, though a cup holder near the driver's right hand would be useful. And the gear stick is mounted on the dashboard rather than on a projecting moulding, so that it's easy for the driver to slide across and emerge safely on the cab side. Now, if you're getting in and out normally, however, using the driver's door, you could find your trousers being snagged by the location of this handbrake lever. A fresh addition for this improved Mark II model Relay is a 5-inch dash-mounted touchscreen infotainment display screen, which makes the vehicle feel more modern inside. Now, build quality isn't quite as solid as some pricey rivals, but it all feels built to last, with plenty of thought given to day-to-day usability. There are 13 different storage spaces around the cab, including a glove box and a lockable lidded bin in the middle of the fascia, spacious enough to swallow a laptop. 2 shelves on the passenger side of the dashboard, one above the other, plus further shelving both beneath and to the right of the steering wheel. You can even stash stuff in a 22-litre shelf above your head and in a tray beneath the driver's seat. Plus, of course, there are deep 2-tiered bins in both doors, big enough here to hold a flask or a bottle of water. Now, not everything fits nicely into shelves or trays, of course, so there's a neat dash-top clipboard that flips up to hold delivery notes or maps within your eyeline. Just as useful is the way that this middle seat folds down to reveal a little desk with a clip and 2 cup holders. In developing this vehicle, the engineers pursued an intensive development program which involved nearly 2.5 million miles of road testing and over 18,500 miles of testing on poor quality and low grip surfaces. Now, there were also 1,000 water fording tests to check out the sealing and 500,000 door slam tests, equivalent apparently to 10 years of intensive use. As a result of this program, this Relay's body structure incorporates multiple point reinforcements to improve rigidity and durability. Now, high-use, high-stress items such as the rear doors have been reinforced and higher-strength door hinges are now used. Similarly, the sliding side doors have benefited from reinforced rails, redesigned runners and improved door locks to raise durability and security standards. List prices for the panel van range suggest that you'll typically be paying somewhere in the £20,000 to £28,000 bracket exclusive of VAT. Now, that's around the same as you would have to find for obvious large LCV segment rivals like Ford's Transit or Vauxhall's Movano, but it is a little less than you'd be looking at for, say, a rival Volkswagen Crafter or indeed a Mercedes Sprinter. Now, you would expect this model's design stablemate, Peugeot's Boxer, to be priced very comparably, which it is. Bear in mind, though, that generally this Citroen offers a slightly higher specification than the Peugeot, thanks to features like SmartNav intelligent satellite navigation and the Trackstar stolen vehicle tracking system that are fitted right across the Relay panel van range. The Teletrack telematics platform allows Relay operators to specify the Fleet Director setup, a low-cost real-time fleet management system. Now, with this standard telematic facility, operators can benefit from efficient vehicle routing that avoids traffic delays, plus get the security of stolen vehicle tracking if your relay should ever be pinched. There's obviously a wide range of body sizes available. 4 lengths, 3 wheelbases and 3 roof heights if you're counting. And these allow a range of load volumes that extend from 8 cubic metres up to a truly sizable 17 cubic metres. Now, the Relay can manage some seriously hefty cargoes as well, with gross vehicle weights extending up to 4 tonnes. Key model derivatives include a chassis cab range, a chassis crew cab lineup, a back-to-back cab derivative, and various specialist ready-bodied models that include tipper, dropside, and Luton van derivatives. As for standard equipment, well, apart from the satellite navigation setup and the stolen vehicle tracking system I mentioned earlier, all models get daytime running lights, a DAB digital radio with steering wheel mounted controls, and Bluetooth phone connectivity with a USB socket. Now, you can also expect to find remote central locking with deadlocks, electric windows and power heated mirrors, a dual passenger seat, a near side sliding side loading door, and a full steel bulkhead. If you can, it's worth finding a little extra for the plusher Enterprise trim level, which is what we're trying here. Now, this throws in air conditioning, cruise control with a variable speed limiter, a parametric alarm, a 5-inch colour infotainment touchscreen on the dash, an MP3 compatible CD player, audio streaming and SMS functionality for the Bluetooth system, and the rear parking sensors that are always welcome on a van this big. And as for options, well, kindlier employers or owner drivers may also want to consider extra cost items like a reversing camera, front fog lights, power folding mirrors, auto wipers, a leather stitched steering wheel and climate control. And I'd also want to look at an additional sliding side door. Plus, you can also pay more for rear air suspension and additional LED front lighting. Safety-wise, you only get a driver's airbag in the basic tally, but you can specify passenger, side and curtain airbags from the options list. There's also ABS with emergency braking assistance to make it more effective in panic stops, and a standard ESC stability control system that can be upgraded with intelligent traction control and hill descent control to ease you down steep slopes. Also optional is a lane departure warning system, which uses a camera mounted above the rear view mirror to recognise whether the driver has drifted across lane markings without indicating. Now, if this does happen, the driver will get an audible warning as well as a visual one that comes up on the instrument panel. Now, this can be specified as part of the safety pack with tyre pressure monitoring and a passenger airbag. Now, if you'll be using your relay on poor surfaces like building sites, you might also want to look at the all-road pack, which includes intelligent traction control and an underbody protection plate. A great deal of emphasis has been placed on rendering the relay as user-friendly as possible, which is why Citroen offers a choice of 4 lengths, 3 wheelbases and 3 roof heights. So let's take note of the low 535mm loading height and open these twin hinged rear doors. Now here the standard 90 degrees opening can be extended to 180 degrees by releasing these stays. Now, if you want to go further, an optional modification is available to allow 270 degrees of opening. Let's start with the headline stat that most operators tend to look for: load volume. Notebooks at the ready. Right, here we go. At the bottom of the range, the smallest short wheelbase standard roof L1H1 model will give you 8 cubic metres. Now that will increase to 10 cubic metres if you up the wheelbase to medium level and get an L2H1 derivative, or 11.5 cubic metres if you also up the roof height to high spec with an L2H2 derivative. Now here I've gone a bit further still and chose a long wheelbase relay with that same roof height, the L3H2 variant, that delivers a useful 13 cubic metres of volume. Now from here, if that's still not big enough, you can get either an extra high roof in the L3H3 model or an extra long wheelbase in the L4H2 variant. Either way, you'll have 15 cubic metres of cargo space to play with inside. Now at the top of the range, an L4H3 variant that has both the extra high roof and the extra long wheelbase would give you a massive 17 cubic metres. Perhaps though you're more interested in the length of loads that you'll be able to carry. Well, pretty much everything you can think of will probably fit. Load lengths vary from 2,670 millimetres in the smallest L1H1 variant that I mentioned to a huge 4,070 millimetres in that L4H3 range topper. Now this L3H2 mid-range variant will probably be enough for most operators, offering as it does 3,705 millimetres. Loading height will, of course, be important too. Now, as I mentioned, there are three roof sizes. The standard roof giving you 1,662 millimetres of internal roof height, the high roof upping that figure to 1,932 millimetres, and the extra high roof increasing the figure still further to 2,172 millimetres. Now, the interior loading width, of course, is the one thing that doesn't change across the range. It's 2,172 millimetres from sidewall to sidewall, or 1,422 millimetres between the wheel arches. Now that's one of the widest load bays in this class of van, and means that there'll be enough space for an 8x4 sheet to be loaded flat on the floor. And on to vehicle weight, something it's important to get right, as it'll determine how bulky the stuff you can carry can be. Now, there are 4 GVW gross vehicle weights that you can choose, designated by the 2 figures in the model name. So this 35 L3H2 model has a gross vehicle weight of 3,500 kilograms. If you don't need that much, there's a 30 derivative with a 3,000 kilogram GVW, or a 33 derivative with a 3,300 kilogram GVW. Now, if you need more, then you'll need to be able to drive with a tachograph. Now, if that's not a problem, then you can opt for the heavy 4,000 kilogram derivative. With that sorted, we can talk payload, an area where Citroen reckon this design has a key advantage. Now, even the least capable relay model, the smallest 30 L1H1 derivative, can manage 1,155 kilograms of weight, while the most capable 40 heavy L2H2 variant can deal with an impressive 1,995 kilograms. Now, this L3H2 model has a gross payload of 1,525 kilograms, nearly 400 kilograms more than some directly comparable competitors. What else? Well, if you want to get your loads in from the side, you'll be pleased to find the sliding side door aperture is decently wide at 1,255 millimetres. So yes, a Euro pallet will of course easily go in. Modifications to this door, including redesigned runners, make it easier to use. Now, the height of the aperture will of course depend on the roof height that you select. Now, with this roof derivative, the figure is a very reasonable 1,755 millimetres. 8 floor-mounted load tie-down points are fitted to this vehicle's load bay, plus 2 at the base of the standard full-height steel bulkhead. You'll be glad if you forgot to use them and everything slides forward. Now, you can also add 5 more tie-down points positioned at waist height, 3 on the offside and 2 on the near side. A shelf above the cab accessible from the cargo area looks like a great place to store load restraint straps. And to look after the load bay, there are protective panels up to half height to guard against interior scrapes and dents. But these still leave the wheel boxes exposed, so there's no real substitute for proper ply lining treatment. On to running costs. Now, these will naturally be determined by the choice of HDI diesel engine and whether or not the variant you have in mind can be specified with a stop and start system that will cut the engine when you don't need it, let's say stuck in traffic or waiting at the lights. Now, if it can't, then your combined cycle return in this vehicle will vary between 37.7 and 41.5 miles per gallon if you keep a close eye on the dashboard gear shift indicator as you drive. And your CO2 reading will vary between 175 and 199 grams per kilometre. Now, if you're looking at either the 30L1H1 model or the 35L3H2 derivative, though, you'll be able to pay your dealer another couple of £100 to get your relay in eHDI form, complete with stop and start. Now, this will improve your fuel consumption by 1 mile per gallon on the combined cycle and your CO2 returns by 6 grams per kilometre. Keeping maintenance costs down will be a major priority for potential owners. So they'll approve of 3-piece bumpers that mean you only have to repair the part that's actually damaged. Now, similarly, the tyres that are fitted were chosen specifically because they're a common and cost-effective size, so that if your relay does get a puncture, it won't be off the road for ages waiting for the right tyre to be sourced. The longer service intervals this improved model gets are set quite generously at up to 2 years or 30,000 miles, dependent on operation. And you get a flexible warranty that's either 2 years with unlimited mileage or 3 years with up to 100,000 miles. A useful fact to know is that the engine's timing chain won't ever need to be replaced. Breakdown assistance is provided for the first year of ownership, and there's a 2-year paint warranty and 5 years of anti-perforation warranty. Now, insurance groupings are class-leadingly affordable thanks to the standard stolen vehicle tracking system. The most affordable grouping is 7E, and the 35L2H3 HDI 130 variant I have here is rated at Group 9E. What else? Well, the environmentally aware will also want to note that all of the available engines will run on fuel containing up to 30% biodiesel without needing modification. Finally, there's the peace of mind of knowing that your relay will be looked after by Citroen's Business Centre network of specialist LCV dealers. Here you get within-the-hour diagnostics, a maximum 48-hour lead time for service and repair, plus a van-for-van courtesy vehicle should you want it while yours is off the road. Citroen, it seems, is serious about replicating its compact van sales success in the large LCV sector. They've collaborated on what is one of the best designs in this marketplace, then equipped it to stand out from its Fiat and Peugeot rival stablemates. The French brand has clearly thought long and hard about what operators actually want. The longer service intervals are welcome, as are the more efficient running cost returns and greater cab refinement. Plus, this relay's Teletrack telematics platform with its SmartNav intelligent satellite navigation and Trackstar stolen vehicle tracking system could indeed be a deal clincher. It's the addition of extra equipment features like these that give this Citroen an important advantage over its Peugeot Boxer sister design. And in summary, well, it's true that build quality still isn't quite a match for more expensive competitors, but it is much improved. Ultimately, there may be more desirable large panel vans out there, but few make more sense than this relay. If you thought all big LCVs were the same, perhaps it's time you concentrated on how manufacturers really differentiate their products. On that score, Citroen's done a great job with this model. It deserves your attention.